I scouted him at the Hula Bowl.
What were your notes on him?
Okay, big hands. He has big hands.
He shook my hand before, and he just goes, "Oh, those are 11-inch hands right there." That's what a scout does right there. He was all over it.
He was good.
Oh, baby. You know what they say about big hands, don't you?
What is that?
Big gloves. Oh, yes, very.
You can be a quarterback.
That's exactly right. All right, we're back. It's Unbuttoned. This is what we're here to do. Welcome to the pod. Ahmed Fareed over there. I'm feeling better about saying your name.
You're locked in now.
And look who we got here in the hot seat. Woo, somebody's riding middle seat right now.
It's my time of year.
It is your time of year. Josh Norris from Rotoworld's here. So we're going to get into some good draft discussion. I want to pick his brains about his top 50 and all those things. I respect really your craft.
That's awesome.
You're very good, and I know we're not going to agree on both, but the thing I like about you is we can have a very constructive.
That's the fun part of it.
Communication and conversation.
You're certainly not going to agree. Because I looked at your two. They are wildly divergent.
There's definitely some
a lot of disagreement here.
He's in the hot seat right now. And I can't wait to have some fun with that. But hey, it's always good having you back.
Good to be back. Good to be back on opening day.
Oh,
which
baseball.
is like baseball opening day, and I'm a baseball guy as well. And I feel like this is the day where, when you're a kid, like Christmas Eve is super cool, right? You get excited for it. You can't sleep.
Yeah.
And I feel like as the older you get, that goes away a little bit.
Definitely.
Opening day for me in baseball is the same feeling. It's the same. It feels the same for me now as when I was like 10 years old.
So you get more excited for baseball opening day than the other sports? Baseball is your heart there as far as sports?
Yeah.
Okay, I get it.
I grew up in Michigan. I was a Tigers fan, covered the Giants for the past 5 years out in the Bay Area.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think because it's like your warm weather. It's summertime.
Spring's coming.
Oh my gosh!
Yes.
And I love the warm weather, and so it means more than just baseball. So I'm super excited.
What's your team in baseball?
Absolutely nothing.
Nothing?
What?
No, I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina.
Josh is like,
that's
it
Charlotte.
means nothing.
You should be like the Bull Durham Bulls or something.
The only
like that.
well, it's still football season.
Yeah.
Like there's always another prospect to watch.
Yeah.
And then the only other sports that I watch are MMA.
Right.
And then I care about the second division soccer team in England, Aston Villa, who's at the championship level.
Right.
And I watch them every single Saturday. And that's like where I get my fandom. That's how I know I'm still living, is based on their wins and losses.
Okay, cool. Aston Villa. Who's the best player in Aston Villa?
Jack Grealish.
Jack Grealish. I don't know who that
He's
is.
the one who got punched in the face.
He was attacked.
Yeah, he was the one that
attacked
punched in the face by the
fan.
fan a few weeks ago.
I heard about it. I didn't see it. I got to look that up.
We talked about it on the podcast.
Yes, I remember.
And they're not even good. And I stream. I paid like $20 a month to stream their games every single Saturday.
Yes.
And then even a couple years ago when they didn't have their games streaming, I would listen to the radio. That's how devoted I am. But yeah, I care about more English championship level soccer than I do baseball.
Okay, so when I went on that long thing about opening day, you're just like, I could care less about that conversation.
Look, I need to watch Paris Campbell.
Jump on the Yankees. It's okay. I'll let you jump on the bandwagon.
Why would I ever do that?
Yeah,
Why? They're a great franchise, greatest franchise in the history of American sports.
Isn't that like jumping on the Patriots right now?
Well, you live in the area. It's okay. You're close to Yankee Stadium.
You can't. If you haven't been a Yankee
tickets?
fan, you can't.
Not for you anymore.
Okay, there we go.
We will get into some baseball talk a little bit later on without Josh, unfortunately. You want to tell him to subscribe real quick? Because I know a lot of people have subscribed to the podcast
That's
so
good.
far.
That's good to hear.
Follow you on Twitter as well.
Yep, at CSimsQB. On Instagram, get at me at Simms Unbuttoned. And then, yes, please subscribe and youtube.com/NBC Sports. You can watch us three idiots sitting here on a couch talking ball, which is always a good thing. But I don't pay attention to subscribers, numbers, anything like that. So that's good for you to say. That means things are going in the right direction.
People have been very supportive, very positive of what you've built here.
Okay,
and
that's good.
We've got a good show for everyone, too, today. We got the prospects off the top. We're going to hear from Brian Flores. You did an interview with him when you were in Arizona, new coach at
Flow,
Miami Dolphins.
as they call him.
Really cool. So we'll hear that. Cool. Plus, we'll talk a little baseball at the end. But right now, we do want to get into the top 50 rankings. But first, before we do that, this is not the first time you've done a podcast together, correct?
No. Correct. Last week, I had Chris on the Rotoworld Football Podcast. Yeah. There it is. You can go and subscribe. And I need to point out, I don't know if you're going to do this, Ahmed.
Yeah, no,
but
go for it.
I've done nearly 300 episodes of the Rotoworld Football Podcast. The only one with the explicit label is one Chris Simms.
Yes. Woo! That's how you make a mark right there.
Well, yeah, the little red mark next to it.
I see it now. Yes.
Not even joking. Even got tweets from dads driving to work with their children at school saying, hey, can't listen to this episode. Sorry about that.
Damn
Explicit tag.
Did they know that before? Did they know that before they listened to the episode, or did they find that out as they were listening?
As they were listening to it. So You lost me one subscriber. Hopefully we get them back on this episode.
I'll try
Go
to
subscribe to Rotoworld Football Podcast.
We'll try to get them back. Hey, the real world is people swear. You got to teach your kids this at some point, okay?
Yep.
So I'm a bad father. I let my kids swear at home.
But now you know.
Wow.
I do. I let them
Now
swear.
you know, next time you have Chris on, at the top of the podcast, say, dads with kids in the car, turn it off.
Damn.
Earmuffs.
I know. I feel
Earmuffs.
bad about the kids in the car.
It's all good.
All right.
We're still living.
Okay.
Let's get into this top 50 here because I think there's a lot of really cool. We're going to go through kind of key in on 3 positions: quarterback, wide receiver, running back, where you do have some differences. But I do want to just go over your top 5 real quick. You both have Kyler Murray at the top. Am I
No
right
doubt
on that? You both have Kyler Murray on top. Nick Bosa 2.
Yes.
Quinnen Williams 3 is what Josh has.
I think if I had to do a top 50, which I will do at some point, I think I would probably echo that 1, 2, 3. First of all, this is where I respect Josh a lot. The way people talk about Kyler Murray, they talk about him like he's the number 1 prospect in the draft, but then I look at other people's top rankings, and he's not in the top 10, and I want to go, well, why? So some of these people who had Sam Darnold number 1 last year, I want to go, he has a stronger arm than Sam Darnold. He is a better athlete than Sam Darnold. He doesn't have turnover problems like Sam Darnold does. So I just don't get that. It's almost like they're not reading their own reports.
And really how I rank these prospects, that if I believe a quarterback is going to be a quality starter, that instantly shoots him to the top of the board.
No doubt about it.
Because there's nothing that changes a team more than having a quality starter at quarterback.
Yes.
And if I think someone has that potential possibly, then I put him after all first-round caliber grades. That's why Dwayne Haskins is further down the list. I'm sure we'll get to that later. But Kyler Murray is absolutely someone, and I love Josh Rosen last year.
I get
and
it.
we talked about this in the podcast last week. From a passing quarterback standpoint, I might consider them coming into the league equal prospects, but they're drastically different packages.
Exactly.
And we talked about this in that with Kyler Murray, it kind of fits where the quarterback, in terms of young quarterbacks, are going with outside of structure as their second option.
Right.
Being able to succeed with your feet, with your movement, it allows you to mask possible deficiencies as a passer.
Right.
Mitch Trubisky's done that. Josh Allen's done that. Carson Wentz has done that.
And a rookie head coach, you would think, would like that in his arsenal. Yeah, I said this today with Mike Florio. All this talk, just while we're on it with the Rosen thing, it's not an indictment on Josh Rosen. He is still an NFL starting quarterback, and I really think he has a chance to be a really good football player. The problem is they're picking number 1, and Kyler Murray has some attributes that really only a few people in the history of the sport have had at the quarterback position. So I think that's really where the problem lies here. It's not about an indictment on Josh Rosen.
And as much as we talk about Kyler Murray's mobility, it's not like he's a running quarterback.
No, exactly right.
He uses it as his advantage outside of structure when necessary. And there are even times when he can use it more often.
Yeah. You did note in your report on him that he sometimes turns down a 17-yard gain for the 7-yard run, a 17-yard pass for the 7-yard run.
And to me, that is the negative with being a mobile quarterback at times. And I'm sure Chris will agree with this, that there are times when he evades that outside rush and climbs the pocket. And as he's moving forward, he does keep his eyes up, but he takes the run for a 7-yard gain instead of hitting that open receiver at the last moment. And more of a statuesque quarterback like a Josh Rosen might do that. But with Kyler, look, you're still gaining 7 yards and
he's taking the sure thing in those instances, maybe more than not. But I think he will get to the point where he'll hit that 17-yard in cut. And he's going to have to at the NFL level because it is a different animal as far as the linebackers and safeties and defensive ends that are going to be chasing him, certainly.
And it's not just the short passes. It's not just the intermediate passes.
Right.
He loves to go deep.
All right.
He loves to throw down.
You guys agree on Kyler, and that's boring. I don't like that.
No, okay. So let's get into some disagreements before you get into these few positions, because we get to the top 3 and we agree. But then, and I haven't done my deep dive on D tackles and all the interior D linemen yet, right? Okay, but I've watched enough to have a feel for it. He's got Ed Oliver, number 4,
Right.
So I want to hear why there, because I have a few concerns, and let me just lay out my concerns, and then you could talk. I think the thing is, I don't even know what position he's going to play in the NFL yet. He's a phenomenal athlete, a specimen. I get that. He has some elite traits, and we talk about that. You and I talked about that as far as being a top pick in the draft. You have to have those things. But I don't know if he can play defensive tackle in the NFL with the way I saw him take on double teams and things like that. And he didn't play against necessarily SEC or Big Ten offensive linemen, too. So I just want to hear you defend him a little bit there.
So I don't think he's going to play where he played at Houston.
I don't
too
think so
often
either,
at Houston, he played as a one technique, meaning
like a true nose.
As a true nose, either over top, which is a 0, or 1, which is the shade to the center.
Right.
He most likely will fill that 3 technique role in the NFL, which is just outside of the guard.
Right.
He is 6'2",
Yes.
287 pounds.
Right.
We've seen players at that size, maybe a little bit heavier, come
Yeah.
into the league and honestly be a bit overlooked. I mean, your Aaron Donald dropped behind
that's
Greg
exactly
Robinson.
right. I get you.
You had Mike Daniels entering the league from Iowa at that weight.
Right.
Geno Atkins.
Sure.
Grady Jarrett. I
get
can
you.
even throw in Poona Ford from last year from Texas,
Yeah.
undrafted free agent, as a
The
fantastic
Seattle
player.
Seahawks, right.
To me, you can't really match up his first and second step with anyone else in this class.
Yeah.
He instantly wants to play in the opponent's backfield.
Right.
And I understand maybe if he takes on double teams, that's not going to be his game.
Yeah.
But in terms of creating disruption, you can play the run on the way to the pass. And there are so few players in the league now that you can say, hey, I'm going to line you up, and I can potentially help you and let you win in one-on-one situations. Those are few and far between, and we're seeing teams now manufacture pressure more than ever.
No doubt.
Aaron Donald can do that, and he just moves differently. He has bend, he has flexibility on the interior spot, where some of those guards and tackles are so stationary and wrestlers in some ways. And just the way he can attack the backfield and play in the backfield, it's absolutely incredible. It's fun to watch.
One of the things I did like about what you wrote about him, and yeah, listen, I think the guys, we're talking about phenomenal football players here, so we're not trying to,
Where would you have them? Where would you have them?
I mean, I haven't got through deep enough to know where I would rank them, but I would think somewhere probably between, I'm going to say 12 and 24 in that range. I think, but I haven't got all the way through yet, so I don't want to put myself in a corner there. But the one thing I did like about what I read you there, you talked about, you brought up the name Melvin Ingram. Right?
Yes.
And I think that could be a very real possibility for this kid because I doubt he played at 287 pounds. That's where I would question. I would think he was probably like 275, something like that. But he's athletic enough to be truly an edge pass rusher, 4-3 defensive end who moves into defensive tackle maybe on a third down or something like that.
Melvin Ingram is an interesting one because he barely played at South Carolina until his final season.
Right.
He was even like a returner in some instances.
Yep.
And he played defensive tackle at South Carolina. Was even smaller, like 260, 270.
I think he was, right.
And then moved out to the edge. I've even seen some people mention like a Teddy Bruschi type role here where you move him from defensive tackle to linebacker.
Yeah, I've heard the outside linebacker thing from even people in the NFL who have done,
Let me ask you this, Chris. Do you really want to move a player that is so successful close to the football further away from the football?
I would not. No, that would not be. I can understand the thought of him maybe being a 3-4 outside linebacker, but no, to me, I would want him at a defensive end 3 technique type of position to show his athleticism and disruption like you're talking about.
We all have biases when we evaluate. Like there are certain parts that really stand out whenever we're watching any type of prospect. For me, it's interior defensive linemen that can bend and have flexibility. And what they do best is they react to surprise movements in front of them. So what Ed Oliver is so good, he can shoot gaps. If you
saw that with him.
Oh, if you try to reach block him, he's instantly going to be in the backfield.
Good night.
Now, there are a lot of defensive tackles that once they get to the backfield, a quicker, smaller running back is able to avoid them in 1 or 2 steps. And those defensive tackles get stuck in the mud. They have wasted movement to try to make a play in the backfield. That's not Ed Oliver. It makes my heart flutter when I see this. Like, I just love this stuff.
But that's okay.
And to me, again, interior disruption is king, and I understand they only had 13.5 sacks, and you talked about this yesterday, but to me, disruption is production.
Yes.
And he can offer that at any level.
Yeah, that's right. All right, so and then the other one.
And Chris's bias is spandex. If the guy looks good in spandex, he's moving up at least 5, maybe 10 spots.
I mean, he looks good in spandex, too. Let me just tell you.
Real quick back on quarterback, because I know we've talked about this a lot. Dwayne Haskins. You have Drew Lock, the Missouri quarterback, over Dwayne Haskins.
Yeah,
for
very
Ohio
close
State.
to me.
Chris has that. Josh does not. He has Dwayne Haskins, I think 19 overall in your top 50, and you have Drew Lock as the last 50th overall in your top 50.
So to me, Drew Lock just isn't my type.
Okay.
And I think that we can see the same thing and value it differently. With Drew Lock, to me, and I can't believe I'm telling a quarterback how I view quarterbacks.
Don't worry, it's not a big deal.
That
doesn't mean anything.
I have difficulty when you don't know what you're going to get from a quarterback in the face of pressure. In the face of disruption. I don't know if really with quarterbacks you can, 1, fix their throwing motion. I'm not saying that's an issue for Drew Lock. But 2, their footwork and their reaction to pressure. And far too often with me with Drew Lock, when he was facing discomfort, when he was facing disruption, I mean, things went chaotic, and rather than, throw the football away, he's throwing an interception. And I just don't think that I value that. And I understand he has a huge arm. I understand that he can make throws in those same instances that other people can't. But that just scares me to death.
I understand it. I understand it's scaring you. There are definitely some head-scratching decisions and interceptions there. Those are things I just look at, and from my point of view, where I go, you can teach people out of those things. To teach them
really?
how to you could definitely teach them how to manage the game differently and be smarter in those decisions. And especially, this is the big point with Drew Lock that I would like to make is when you're more of an equal playing field. I mean, I think I said this to you before. With Drew Lock, I mean, almost every game they were in the SEC, they were the lesser team on the field. So he had to push the envelope a little bit to keep the team competitive. And sometimes he made the big throws to go, wow, okay, here they go. They got a chance to maybe upset, South Carolina in South Carolina. But then at the same time, he makes a dumb interception and like he's going to throw a screen pass and it's not there and he's about to fall down. He throws it anyways. Like those things, I totally understand it. We see it a little differently, but that's all good. What else? Did you want to talk about anything else with the quarterback?
I'm starting to like the disagreement because we're getting some more of it.
Yeah.
Now, I'm ready to move on to wide receiver.
Okay, go ahead.
Oh,
yes. Oh,
because
I know.
wide receiver, we have something here. You both are high on DK Metcalf out of Ole Miss.
Right.
Chris, you have him number 1.
Yep.
He's your top receiver. Josh, you have him as the number 2 receiver. But the receiver that Josh has number 1, Chris, you do not even have in your top 5.
No.
And the name of that person is Hakeem Butler out of Iowa State.
Right.
So, Chris, first of all, we'll start with you. Why do you hate Hakeem Butler?
What an asshole you are, okay?
I just want to
You're
know
an
what
asshole,
you have against
an asshole
him.
wearing white shoes today,
Yeah, I
okay?
like
That's what you are, okay?
Yeah, the first
just
time
so
I've
we
worn
know
these.
that. But they really
He's
do.
going bowling after
they
this,
look
actually.
good.
I got to
They
turn
really
them back
do
in.
good.
Yeah, I'll get my real shoes after this podcast is done.
I don't hate the kid, okay? Just so he is a.
You just hate him as a football player. I'm sorry.
Yeah, he is a big target, 50-50 ball, certainly impressive. Back shoulder catches, impressive. Ability to break some tackles and make some yak, pretty impressive. The thing I would throw back is Big 12. We're not talking about one cornerback in the Big 12 that's going to go in the NFL. Texas is the only team that even has guys that are really in the draft conversation. I take that into account. I take the style of play he played against in the Big 12 and go, man, did he get a lot of free releases and slot plays where nobody touched him and got that. The other thing I would just say is he is a little bit too much lumbering to me. I understand the value of him, but the route running, the explosion out of breaks, things like that are what concerns me, where I see DBs and even linebackers at times being able to stay with him in moments where I just go, I'm not sure. Maybe I'm wrong at the end of the day. We'll see. But he's certainly not one of my 5 favorite right now.
And what's funny is Chris isn't alone in this opinion. Like, there are a lot of people in this industry that I really respect.
And the drops. It is,
and we'll get to that
because
for sure.
he got great catches, but he does have too many concerning drops.
So Daniel Jeremiah doesn't have Hakeem Butler in his top 50. My friend Dane Brugler of The Athletic has him at number 60 overall. Lance Zierlein, who writes the reports of NFL.com, has him as his wide receiver 13.
Okay.
So, I'm going out on a big limb here with Hakeem Butler.
That's too far down, 13.
It is. It is.
That's excessive.
What I love about Hakeem Butler, and it's funny because whereas with Drew Lock, we kind of saw the same thing, valued it differently, I think we're seeing very different prospects.
Yeah.
He did often, to me, face press coverage. And I listened to Chris Ballard recently talk about this, the Colts GM. And he said the most difficult part of projecting wide receivers from college to the NFL is that in college, they don't often face that physicality in the first 5 yards.
Right.
So you don't know how they're going to react to jams. You don't know their releases. Because if they just get a free run, that's 10 yards immediately.
Yes.
Hakeem Butler often faced press coverage and had to use a variety of releases to get past that. Now, he's a massive target. He's 6'5", 227 pounds. We haven't seen that many successful receivers lately with that type of frame. And what I loved also about him was that he lined up on the left side. He lined up on the right side.
Sure.
He lined up in the left slot.
Right.
He lined up in the right slot.
Definitely.
He attacked short, mediate, and vertical.
Yep.
And really, he was the best vertical receiver in this draft class last year. Had the most receiving yards on 20-plus yard passes in this class.
That.
And the body control. I'm not going to say he's A.J. Green. But he gives me A.J. Green vibes.
Yeah.
Just
I
with that size.
The body control. I get
and
that.
along
I
the
see
sideline.
That. Right.
And, just Hakeem Butler, to me, is, if we're looking for wide receiver ones, and that term gets thrown around a lot, he has that potential.
Okay. I disagree with you totally.
I know you do. I know you do. Now, can we actually compare him? Because I think this would be a fun exercise.
10 years from now, we'll come back on this podcast. We'll be like, who was right?
I mean with DK Metcalf.
Yeah.
Because to me, DK Metcalf is a complete projection.
No doubt about it.
Because at Ole Miss, DK Metcalf only played on one side of the field. He only played on the left side. All of his routes were run on a vertical plane. It was go routes, comebacks,
Maybe a slant.
every once in a while.
Right.
And also there wasn't a lot of production. So to me, when I'm looking at that type of player, that's a complete projection to me because I don't know, since he was able just to stand on one side of the formation, he was able to master those releases. He was able to master that footwork. And that scares me a little bit compared to Butler, where I know he can win throughout.
All right, I'll just fight back with this one and go.
This is great.
If you put DK Metcalf on the other side of the field, he's not going to go, oh my gosh, I'm on the right side. So I think you're making too big of a deal out of that.
But we saw that same issue with Kevin White coming out of school. Because
Okay,
Kevin
sure.
White did the exact same thing.
But I know, and I was not high on Kevin White coming out either. I had concerns about Kevin White. DK Metcalf is a little different to me just because, first of all, I think some of the issues you're talking about are Ole Miss's offense.
Okay.
And if the quarterback could hit him when he was open, he might have had an extra 700 yards to the games I watched. So those are things I take into account too. But certainly, it's a tough eval because it is limited.
Yeah.
There is not huge production. Ole Miss's offense at time, I mean, like brain blow up emoji. I honestly watched some games going, are they trying to win here, or are they trying to find the least talented guy on the field to give him the ball? I just didn't understand any of it. So I took all that into account, but all good. You still like DK Metcalf.
I do.
You just know it's a projection.
Totally.
Yes.
Totally. And quickly with Hakeem Butler, just going back to him.
Yeah.
Turn on did you get to watch the Iowa game?
You know what? I don't know if I have watched the Iowa game.
4th and 1 in the third quarter.
Right.
He runs a whip route.
Right.
And sinks his hips.
Sure.
Is able to create separation, just super close line of scrimmage. And again, you don't see these 6'5", 225+ pound receivers do that. And finally, Chris.
Yes.
Big receivers are back, I think, in this class.
No, I see that for sure.
For years, we had, and I even wrote some names down. Mike Williams goes in the top 10. We had Josh Jackson, Laquan Treadwell, Kevin White, Devontae Parker, Kelvin Benjamin. Like, these are all big receivers that we're hoping to imitate, your Julio Jones, your A.J. Greens, your Mike Evans. And a lot of them have failed.
Yes. Yeah.
And in this class, I bet we get 3 or 4 that really succeed.
Yeah, this kid has a chance, I think, because of his slot value, too.
Yep.
I think the NFL has finally come to the terms because of guys like Marquise Colston, or even how the Saints use, what the hell's their damn receiver right now? Michael Thomas.
And Larry Fitzgerald does in Arizona.
Right. He's done it at the end of his career. But they have moved a lot of these big guys into the slot because, they might not be able to just blow by people on the outside, but they're big targets, they're pretty good route runners, and they're fearless over the middle. And I could see Hakeem Butler being successful in that role.
You're starting to change his mind a little
Can we talk quickly about drops and the importance of drops?
Sure.
That's a big part of Butler's evaluation.
You do hear, and they're glaring, right? When there's a drop, it's glaring.
There's some bad ones.
If you don't even follow football, you're like, that's not a very good receiver right there.
Honestly, that's part of it because I think it's this bias that we all have that when a player drops it, usually it's a big play that doesn't come into fruition. That those stick out, those moments stick out in our head. It's kind of like long runs for the running backs, even though that's only equals 5 to 6% of a running back's full workload, full carries. Hakeem Butler has a lot of drops, 16% this year in terms of on-target passes.
Damn, is it that many?
That's a lot.
It's that high.
Damn, that's a lot.
All those are all catchable balls?
Yes. And so I'm doing my best. Well, one, he also makes up for uncatchable balls because of his catch
some crazy jump balls and stuff like that. Yes, he does.
But I'm doing my best, and I think it was 12 drops on the season. I don't want those 12 spotlight plays to really veil and impact an entire evaluation. I understand it's going to be an issue, but I think the team that drafts him knows it's going to be an issue.
Definitely.
So they're not going to bench him just because he drops a couple passes.
It's going to be a little work in progress there on that.
Oh, well, it might not be a huge, you can fix it, but it's still you're a wide receiver.
Yep.
You're supposed to catch the ball, especially the ones.
It's his job. I think that's in his title.
Before we move on from wide receiver, I do want to kind of flip the script a little bit here because there's a guy that Chris is pretty high on that Josh, you do not have in your top 5, and that is an Ohio State receiver who led the Big Ten in yards per route run. He can play in the slot. Outside.
That's all he does. No, well, that's all he does.
Yeah, he really plays more in the slot.
But he could play outside.
There's no doubt about it.
He could play out of the backfield. He could do all that stuff. I'm building up his case for Chris here. It's Paris Campbell out of Ohio State.
Do you want to talk or do you want me to talk?
Go ahead. You got it.
Okay, why do you hate Paris Campbell?
Well, and I'm not going to say I hate him like Chris says.
As a football player, I'm sorry.
This is another projection. Because we talk about average depth of target. And what that means is where a player is targeted, how far they are down the field. Hakeem Butler, who we just talked about, is 15 yards down the field.
Right.
Paris Campbell is 4.5 yards.
Right.
All he did, I would say 80% of the routes that he had, if it was zone coverage out of the slot, he'd run a drag and sit in open space between the safety or the linebacker, whoever it is, and that's
doubt.
about 5 yards down the line of
Right.
scrimmage. If it was man coverage, he just continues to run. It's faster than everyone else, creates that instant separation, and then with the ball in his hands, runs along the
Runs by
sideline.
everybody for 70-yard touchdowns.
To me, that's it. That's his game.
Okay, but see, this is where you're over-analyzing the situation. Again, he is a top-level elite athlete.
He is.
You're projecting the offense onto him. To think, somebody like that isn't going to be able to line up outside and then run a comeback or just blow by somebody in a go route, that is not a him problem. To me, that's an Ohio State problem. They used him incorrectly a lot of the times and didn't give him those opportunities to do that. So I understand what you're saying here. It is a very limited route tree. It's a shallow cross. It's a fake the shallow cross and come out.
It's a branch. It's a branch.
It's a branch. You're right. It's a branch with a small leaf on it.
Tree. It's like a young tree.
But I don't doubt. I was extremely impressed with his route running. And to me, I want to see you do things like you're saying with Hakeem Butler, the 50-50 balls that are extraordinary, the jump balls, those are extraordinary. Catching balls against Big Ten corners and then outrunning them down the sidelines for long touchdowns and things like that, to me, are things that I don't see a lot of people in this draft being able to do at the wide receiver position.
And I think this is an important point, that a wide receiver is not a wide receiver is not a wide receiver. In that, being in the slot is very different than playing outside, because the slot just gives you affordable space in the middle that you can sit in or run versus man. With Paris Campbell, I believe he's 100 and how many pounds? Let's look at this. Okay, he's 205 pounds.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
There are other receivers that were at the NFL Combine that were 180 pounds. So comparing those to DK Metcalf, comparing those to Hakeem Butler is difficult, because there's a 40, 50-pound weight difference in those. And I do think we see it differently. You're just more comfortable with that projection.
I am.
For Paris Campbell. And to me, I didn't see him play it all outside.
Right.
So to me, I can only go off where he won in college and where he might win in the NFL.
Yep.
And it's an obvious trait of his, and it's kind of his trump card. But I feel like I can find that if I want to find that.
Okay.
And it is interesting, because the GMs and all the scouts, they do have to project, right? Because if you do
In
miss
college
on a guy,
football now, yes, you
can't-
definitely have to.
If you can't be imaginative enough and creative enough and see this player and be like, okay, this is what I've seen from him, but what can he do?
Right.
If you can't do that, you do miss out on some guys. So it is tough, right? So how do you project what you've seen from a tape and say, okay, I also think he can do this, even though you've never seen that?
Right.
We're probably, and Chris can answer this better, probably in a lot of private workouts that you get to ask them, because these guys, as we talked about with Ole Miss, as we talked about with Paris Campbell to Ohio State, they might run 3 routes. And so hopefully in those private workouts, maybe at the combine, whatever, you get to see at least if they're comfortable in these scenarios from the left or the right side.
Yes, right. And I really thought he was. Again, I don't care about the route tree as much. I really don't. We can go through, Odell Beckham Jr.'s route tree wasn't that great coming out either. I look for certain movements and abilities to show me he can run these routes. And the one thing I loved about Paris Campbell, and I use this phrase a lot, he can stick his foot in the ground. He can be going across like he's going to run the shallow cross, jam his foot in the ground, and seamlessly come right back out and explode. Those are the things I look at to go, I think he's going to be able to run a comeback and run straight upfield really fast and jam his foot in the ground and come back out again. Again, a lot of his projections with some of these college offenses and this bull crap spread shit we see now all the time, to where
it makes it tough, right?
It does make it tough.
What is what they can't do, and what is what just they haven't done?
Right.
It's tough to parse that.
DJ Moore last year, who's a first rounder out of Maryland. He ran a look at the quarterback and throw to me, or a go route, or a slant. It wasn't a lot.
But the thing with DJ Moore is that continued with the Panthers. I wouldn't say he's a great route runner right now.
No.
Now, he was
the most explosive player on their offense.
And the best in the NFL in yards after the catch in his rookie season. Exactly. That's where he wins. That's where he dominates.
Right.
And Paris Campbell can kind of do that too. Again, takes a 5-yard catch, and then he can run it 20 more yards.
Can we go to running back?
Of course.
Running back, right? So both of you agree as the number 1 running back available in the draft. That is Josh Jacobs.
Yeah.
Out of
I don't think there's any.
Alabama.
I don't know anybody that doesn't agree with that. I don't know. Do you know anybody in the NFL or scouts where you go?
Nope.
No, I think that's pretty much slam dunk.
He's in his own tier.
Pretty much. I think he is.
Only tier.
So not for me.
So you have.
I have him
again
3 in a row.
So Josh, you have your number 2 running back is not even in Chris's top 5.
No.
And that is Devin Singletary of Florida Atlantic.
And you watched him.
I did.
So Devin Singletary is a difficult evaluation from this standpoint. A lot of the foundation backs that we see in the NFL are 210, 215, 220 at the very least, right?
Right. Doesn't matter, though. I'm not obsessed with that.
Well, Devin Singletary is 5'8", 5'8", 203 pounds.
Right.
So it's a different package that he's coming in. Chris, I went back, I guess a couple weeks ago, and I watched your top 5 at the position. And a lot of times you talked about, good running backs pick up the yards blocked for them. And to me, great running backs create on their own.
Yeah.
At FAU, that offensive line was dog shit. It was absolutely awful.
We got the E now. We just got the E the first time.
He wanted to make sure it's on
I can't do it on my podcast, so I can do it on yours. I know that. Devin Singletary, there was so much interior disruption that he had to deal with, like I talked about with Ed Oliver, that he was able to make the first person miss constantly. Now, some of those runs might only end up being a 3 or 4 yard run, but it changes from a negative 3 yard run into a 4 yard gain.
Totally.
That's a difference. The hidden yards is 7 there, right? Now, he might not have the long speed to reel off these 20-plus yard runs, but winning after contact, which he does great for a running back that size, winning, like I said, and you watch him against Oklahoma, like there was this linebacker or safety that was coming through this lane. He would press this lane and instantly hop over to the next one.
No, his short area quickness, change of direction skills are phenomenal.
And we know Oklahoma's pretty good at football.
Right.
And so being able to do that against that competition and then create a big gain he reminds me of Frank Gore. I'll throw it out there. He reminds me a lot of Frank Gore's game. And I'm not saying he's, the perfect prospect. I don't think this running back class is very good.
Didn't throw to him this past year. 6 catches, 36 yards. He was not a part of the passing game.
That's a major issue.
Yeah, but that's all right. Even just the few catches I saw, didn't look like he was fighting the ball. It looked natural to me to where, again,
he had caught more in the past.
I see those things to me. I'm not going to over-evaluate. Does the guy look pretty natural catching the ball? Okay, he's a top-tier athlete. I'm not going to go, oh, gosh, he didn't catch enough balls. I'm scared. Those are little things you can find out at a workout, personal, right away.
Same thing we just talked about.
Exactly
it's not
right.
That he can't do it, he
Certainly.
just didn't do it.
And just so Josh knows.
Yeah, what'd you think of him?
I like Devin a lot. I think the thing that I wish I had my other notebook so I could really show you the things that were in my notes because I don't have it here with me. But either way, I think the thing that the quickness, the things you talked about in space, they're all legit. But I just felt like the kid Darrell Henderson from Memphis was a better version and more explosive and actually more powerful than he was. And they have that same type of body type. So Singletary, I can't remember if I had him like 6 or 7. He was just outside of my top 5. But I understand his value. He is going to be a third down back or hey, really, you don't even have to be a third down back in this day and age in the NFL. We just saw the Chicago Bears with a guy like Tariq Cohen. This is the type of guy he could be. I just don't think he has the straight ahead explosion as some of those guys, and that's what concerns me.
He doesn't. To me, he's a foundation back type player in a passing game back size.
I think so.
And that's the difficulty of it. And speaking of Darrell Henderson, quickly after this random comparison to you, he reminds me of Willie Parker.
Okay, I could see that a little bit. I think he's got better quicks than Willie Parker. Willie Parker was a little too much straight liner, where Henderson, I felt like, can make some people miss in space, just like you're saying Singletary.
He also likes Henderson more than I do.
Yeah.
Interesting.
What an asshole this guy is. Get him off my show.
I know, right? Well, this is good, though. I feel like we're learning what goes into the...
kick his ass out of here, okay?
Because a lot of times, and Josh, you did a great job of writing up a little explainer on each of the top 50 prospects you did. Chris will do that, too. But oftentimes you just see a list and you don't get to hear the thought process going into it and how it's not an exact science and how you guys struggle with it just as much as anyone else that would be doing it at home. But at the end of the day, you have to make a call, and you have to put some player because we make you. We make you do that. And so you have to put some of these players ahead of the other players. Can
I ask him this question?
Yeah.
Were you in the Patriots draft room when they would stack the board? Because it's very. No, you weren't. Because the Patriots are drastic. I don't know if you know this. The Patriots are drastically different. Where they send scouts home in like March, and they'll basically like put the board together just with 5 or 6 or 7 people in the draft room. And they don't want anyone else to see it.
No doubt. I wasn't even allowed. This is what the Patriots draft room was. First of all, it is a draft board with a metal garage door over it, so nobody can look at it. And you're not even allowed in the room. And then this time of the year, it's literally like Bill Belichick, Nick Caserio. Gosh, I don't even know if anybody else. Rob Kraft. They might be the only 3 people and they go in the room like this. They look around as they're like turning the key. They're like,
Yeah.
Anybody looking? Okay. And they go in.
right.
I mean, it's so top secret. Me in the draft room. Are you kidding me?
But why ask
If
that?
you were still there, like what would it be now? 8 years? Would you be in the draft room?
No.
I think? Yeah.
No, I don't. Nobody's in that draft room
It's-
except the major players there.
It's so funny when you see these like draft room cameras during draft weekend because all of them, I mean, they're full. They're packed to the gills
Yeah.
with every single scout, every single assistant, whoever people putting. I mean, I was in the Rams draft room when I was just an intern one year.
Right.
But meanwhile, the Patriots, it's just 4 or 5 people in there.
No doubt.
But the reason I asked that question is because like it can be easy to rank positions. You know, oh, I like this guy better, so I'm going to have him above
Sure.
him. It's drastically different doing the board that is horizontal, basically.
Yes, right.
And vertical.
Compare
in
a
terms
quarterback to an interior.
Yeah, really
defensive
valuing
lineman.
him as the total prospect
Yeah.
and where they rank in the big picture of things.
and
is what
that's
you're
where
saying.
needs factor in.
Right.
Like that's and since I'm not evaluating for a certain position or
Sure.
a certain team, then I can't factor in needs. You know, I'm just trying to project.
You're
which-
expecting the players you think are best. You're right. It's just like the edge guys. Some teams are going to like a guy that needs a pure pass rusher. Some other teams on the edge are going to want a guy that's, you know, can play to the tight end tackle side and handle that. So it is about needs a little bit. What are you laughing at?
just you just getting kicked out after doing your job. Like
Oh.
that would irk me if I worked for the Patriots because like you do your job from September until March.
Yep.
It's like, nah, this is the biggest weekend of the year in terms of roster building. We're good. Just
they,
go home.
They just say they say thank you for your service. We just don't trust you.
No, well, yeah, whatever. I mean, hey, New England, that's just the way they are in New England. And it's pretty hard to argue with the results.
Yeah, it seems like until they start losing, that's probably the way to go about it. Do we have time for one more? Can we do one more? Okay, so the last one I want to do here.
You're such a
Time's up already.
stir in the pot over here. That's all
I
you're
like
doing.
to see you guys go at it and get angry. So the one that I want to do here is an edge rusher out of Michigan, New Jersey guy, Rashawn Gary, who I know from talking to Chris, very high on.
Yes.
Not just because he's a New Jersey kid,
Right.
but that's part of it.
Yeah.
That's I mean, that always bumps him up a little bit in your eyes.
I know
right?
he's got a little Jersey toughness to him.
So
We're not that far off. I probably love him more, but
Well,
where'd you-
after the combine, you were saying he's, maybe top 5 with all that talent.
Yeah.
Then yesterday you put him as number 2 edge rusher.
Yeah.
So Josh has him as his number 16 overall. So really not low on him,
Right.
but still
Right.
16 overall. But here's some direct quotes from Josh's story on Rotoworld. Where is the pass rush plan? Where is the bend? When is he attacking the edges? When does he use his length? A lot of questions for Rashawn Gary in Josh's mind.
Sure.
I like Rashawn Gary a lot,
Mm-hmm.
but I want Rashawn Gary to end up in like a Mike Zimmer type coach defense because, and I think you brought up this name, Donnell Hunter, to me is why I value athleticism so much at the edge and along the interior. Because, I mean, if you think about it in its simplest terms, right? It's one of the true one-on-one matchups on an NFL field.
Yep.
So if you have a significant advantage athletically as a leg up, that's a great starting
Sure,
point.
right.
And Rashawn Gary has, a fastball right now if we're talking about
Yeah.
baseball, in that he has this one pitch that can be successful and be productive in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
And that is, just a speed rush to the outside, hopefully going against a heavy felt offensive tackle. And again, you can press the pocket, you can move the quarterback off his spot. To me, though, there's no counter move. And consistently, I should say. There are flashes of just about everything
Sure.
with Rashawn Gary, nothing consistent. Whereas, he might set up this outside move earlier in the game and then later on hit an inside move later on in the draft, or once he gets pocket depth, put his foot in the dirt and then take a straight line to the quarterback.
Right.
Just none of that is there. It doesn't seem like there's a lot of thought to his game right now, and that's why, to me, the other edge rushers show that a lot more. But again, I do think Rashawn Gary's a first-round
Yeah,
caliber
no,
player.
obviously. I mean, you had him as what, your 15th overall,
Yes,
18th overall?
16,
16,
right,
yeah. So
yeah.
I get it. I understand some of the things he's saying are very valid. I just go off my experience and go, like, some of the things, again, that he says, I almost like. He'll get taught these things at the NFL level.
so.
He's just doing it with raw ability at this point
He's been
right
able
now.
to be very successful without
Right,
these extra
and he's a
skills
different
and coaches.
edge guy than Nick Bosa or Josh Allen to me. I think the beauty of Rashawn Gary is the position versatility as far as, like I mentioned, he was a lot like Michael Bennett, where he's going to he could be a strong side DN and take the double team of the tackle and the tight end and split them and cause disruption. But at the same time, if you needed to put him on three technique versus a passing team and have a mismatch against a guard in passing situations, I think he could be a handful there. And that's where I value him a lot as well.
Do you think he can win inside as a pass rusher? Like, do you think he can do the Trey Flowers outside and
totally
then go
do.
against, your less athletic into your offensive
I totally
line.
do. Yeah, that's really where I love him. I think he could be like that Trey Flowers, Michael Bennett type guy where, yeah, it might not be 12 sacks, 14 sacks a year. It's probably going to be 6.5, 7 sacks, but a whole lot of what I like to say, fuck the play up stats, which is not an official thing, but he ruins the design of plays a lot. And yeah, he doesn't get the tackle or anything on the stat line, but I look at it and go, well, the first guy that messed this play up was Rashawn Gary, and then somebody else got the sack or the tackle in the run game.
And as a closing thought, the reason why so many people, I think, really value this defensive line edge class is because there are so few players at the NFL level now that you can line up and say, hey, there's a potential that you can win this one-on-one matchup. Like, really, the pillars to winning football are pass protecting with 5, pass rushing with 4, winning the turnover differential, and creating big plays.
That's pretty strong there. You're right.
And so creating that disruption with 4 is super difficult. We just saw the team that won the Super Bowl not have a single player, basically, that, hey, we can line you up and win. Trey Flowers got paid a lot of money, but that's not even him.
I think he got overpaid, too. I'll say that. So,
but all these guys, your Ed Olivers, your Nick Bosa's, your Josh Allen's, your Rashawn Gary's, your Montez Sweat's, your Brian Burns, they all offer that potential to win that individual matchup in each and every play, so that's why they're being projected so early.
And to your point about the front 4, which I think you're spot on there, I mean, yes, they won the Super Bowl, but the other team that lost the Super Bowl, they did it with the front 4.
Exactly.
The Eagles did it with the front 4. The Atlanta Falcons did it with the front 4. The Seattle Seahawks did it with the front 4. The Denver Broncos did it with the front 4. The Carolina Panthers, who were also in that Super Bowl, the front 4. None of them had to blitz because their front 4 could apply the pressure, and you can keep 7 back in coverage and confuse the quarterback that way.
And what that means is for your coaches, it's being more multiple. You'll hear that word a lot this offseason, being more multiple. That then just puts the pressure entirely on the coaches because they have to scheme it. And luckily for the Patriots, they had Kyle Van Noy, they had Dante Hightower, who, back going to their college games, rushed the passer quite a bit.
No doubt about it. You're right.
So they had that experience.
Right.
But not everyone is, as Chris knows, as well coached as the Patriots.
I mean, it makes a whole lot of sense. It was like playing Super Tecmo Bowl back in the day and going against Lawrence Taylor, right? I mean, you couldn't stop Lawrence. You couldn't even run like an off-tackle dive.
No way.
Any of that stuff.
He's going to throw the guy out of the way and tackle the guy in 2 seconds.
It limited your playbook to like 3 plays out of the 8.
There was only 6 you could pick from anyways.
It was that makes a whole lot of sense. That's super interesting stuff. Is there anything else you want to talk about?
I'm too young for this couch, based on
Okay. Here, last 2 things, real quick, and let's not make these long. All right, the Devins, the linebackers.
Yeah.
Who do you think's going to go first in the draft?
Devin
White and Devin Bush, who were the cream of the crop
Michigan.
at the middle linebacker position.
I think Devin White will be a top 5 pick, all said and done.
Yeah. Okay.
I think Devin White.
top 5 pick?
Yeah, I think Devin White might go number 5 to Tampa, correct?
They are the 5. You're right. You're the number 5.
That makes a lot of sense to me. But I highly doubt either one gets out of the top 15 because you have teams like the
100%.
Cincinnati Bengals, the Green Bay Packers, like some really good teams that are very in need of that off-ball linebacker spot. And there's a massive cliff after those 2 at that position.
Yes, so I agree with you there. I'm totally with you. I think Devin White, I don't know if I would go top 5, but I'd certainly say top 10, and I'm with you that neither one of them get out of the top 15. Last one, and then you got to get the hell out of here because you disagreed with me way too much here, is the tight ends. I know you like Hawkinson a little better than Fant. So, I am a big Fant fan.
Me too.
I think Fant is going to be the one that goes first when all's said and done.
Interesting.
I do. I really do. I would be shocked if it's the other way. I mean, we can put some wagers on this, some friendly wagers, whatever.
No, I mean, the
free milkshakes.
Chris often has some information.
The spare money
too.
in his pocket can buy my condo, so I don't think that we can do that.
No, it can't. You haven't met my wife.
But what I think about Noah Fant and T.J. Hawkinson, I actually, Chris, don't think you give enough credit for how good Noah Fant is in line.
I'm with you.
Yeah. Too often he gets compared to like an Evan Ingram. Too often he gets compared to a Jordan Reed. Do you know who he is to me? Dustin Keller. Remember Dustin Keller?
Sure.
And he was just hitting his peak right before the significant knee injury.
I could even say Jared Cook, who we're seeing. It's similar to me. I agree with you. That was the thing that blew me away. Because I went into it and people were telling me, oh, Hawkinson. And I said, Noah Fant is not a bad blocker here. There might be a few technique things where he misses, but it's not like he's afraid to block. It's not like it's Jordan Reed and Evan Ingram where they can get overpowered at times when they were coming out. This kid's got, I think he's
legit.
He is legit. They're both legit, but I like Fant better than Hawkinson.
And I don't think Noah Fant is quite as comfortable in space as like an Evan Ingram or Jordan Reed.
I read what you said, and I agree there. Totally.
Because those guys are basically running backs when they get in the open field.
Right.
They're make you miss, create space on
Yeah,
their
he's
own.
more just a straight liner. I'm going to outrun you to the edge and maybe break an arm tackle or something
Which
like
is
that.
super important.
Yeah.
He is more athletic than 98% of tight ends entering the league in the last few decades.
Yeah.
I mean, it's absolutely
pretty
incredible.
special.
When I come back, when you talk about Jerry Tillery,
Yeah.
you talk about Miles Boykin, because both those guys are
I got you. And Miles is definitely on my list for somebody that could start to creep up my board as far as the wide receiver position.
Can I infiltrate your brain a little bit here?
Yeah.
He is eerily similar movement-wise to Martavis Bryant.
Yeah.
Big boy that can move so
No doubt.
freely and just eat up yards in just a couple
I think that
strides.
too. Only thing I don't know if the straightaway speed there, but I know everything else. Everything else, I agree with you there. Yeah, but totally. I got to see him in person a lot at Notre Dame,
Right. Yeah.
and I didn't really deep dive into him because I know this guy, I've seen him, but then I went back and watched the film just a little bit, and I was like, holy crap, he's better than I gave him credit for even in person watching him at Notre Dame. And Tillery, same thing. And we'll get into that. I think you have him ranked a little too high, but I still really like him.
I don't. Again, heart palpitations.
Yeah.
Seeing Jerry Tillery just for
what
how
reason?
he bends and he's flexible.
And he speaks Mandarin, so that's amazing.
Yeah, that to the
Yes.
scouting report. So do we have any bets? I feel like we've had a couple.
Well, the one I want to bet
friendly
is for
wagers out
sure
of
is
this
that Paris
discussion.
Campbell goes before Hakeem Butler. We can bet like a
wanna do that one?
lunch sandwich on that one. Oh, he don't
Sure,
like
why not?
that. Okay.
It's a sandwich.
Yeah, but an expensive sandwich.
no,
It can
just
get
put in the
pretty
company
pricey.
card.
Yeah. Is
A
that,
New
there gotta be
York
more.
bone-in strip steak sandwich.
Do we want to do a Dwayne Haskins, Drew Lock?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Are you comfortable saying that Drew Lock will go ahead of?
No. I want to go back to his
Haskins?
running backs. I want to
Okay.
go back to his running
Okay,
backs.
good. You pick. I picked one bet. You pick the next one.
David Montgomery and Devin Singletary go before Raquel Armstead.
Okay.
The Temple running back. Who you
Yeah.
have as your number two running back?
I like Rick.
Yeah,
Well,
you're in crazy town with that.
that's enough of you. Get out of here, okay?
You've been
I've had
kicked
enough
off.
of you.
Subscribe
that's two
to
guys. Yeah.
Subscribe to the Rotoworld Football Podcast.
Absolutely, and if Chris is on it, you might have to listen to it
the E.
alone.
That's
and
right.
Not with
You're
your,
the man.
not with
Thanks
your,
for coming.
your kids. Awesome stuff. Josh Norris. got the
seriously,
top,
Josh, you're
top
the man.
50 online
Appreciate it,
right now.
guys.
Rotoworld is writing about the NFL all the time. This is my favorite part of our podcast. We had Florio on last week,
Right.
And it's like we dismiss the guests, and they just have to like get up
Walk
and
off
leave.
into the
yeah. It's like they
Central
gather,
Park.
gather their stuff, and then like they.
You got a nice legs and ass though as you walk out. Shot there. You look good, man.
And then
You got-
if you're watching the show, you can see him in the background there, Josh Norris. That's some really good stuff there. That was really
That was
interesting
fun.
conversation, and you can tell. I mean, obviously, both of you guys have poured over the tapes.
Yes.
Endless hours of pouring over the
He's
tape.
deeper into it than me. He's
Josh,
way in the weeds.
is this your phone and
Oh,
wallet?
here we go. No, don't worry. We got the
gotta-
steak and everything right
You've got
here.
to come back. You've already lost
No.
the bet because we have your credit card.
I don't want to toss it.
Okay.
You need to get some cash in there.
Good job, Josh.
See ya.
If you leave anything else, we'll mail it to you. That was fun. That was a lot of fun. Josh knows.
Way to
knows
steer
his
the ship,
stuff.
homie.
That was pretty. I just sat back and took in all that.
You're like, you
information.
guys are psycho and you watch too much football.
Should we get to the interview? So
Yes,
you were out
let's
in
do it.
Arizona. You did a whole lot of really, really good interviews. One, including your old friend Brian Flores,
Yep.
new head coach of the Miami Dolphins, just 38 years old, I think. I think he just turned 38.
I think
or
so. I
37,
think you're right.
38. So here's the interview, and we'll react to it afterwards.
Cool. Yo, what's up? Chris Simms Unbuttoned. We got a special guest today, my man Brian Flores, who we kind of go back, oddly enough, to early college years.
We do.
He played at Boston College, a good friend of mine from high school, played with
Toll.
you, Greg Toll,
Greg Toll.
exactly right. And one day he showed up in my kitchen with Greg Toll, and I was like, who the hell is this guy? And we've known each other ever since. But first thing is, congrats, okay?
Thank you.
Way to go. It's
Thank
well
you very
deserved.
much.
One thing I've always respected about you is your toughness, okay? Like, I feel like I could take most coaches in football. You,
I don't know about that, but,
you don't know?
yeah.
How dare you say that on my podcast? But you, on the other hand, I know, there's Kyle Shanahan.
Yeah.
You, on the other hand, though, you do have a toughness about you. And I think it does go back to your upbringing and Brownsville, New York, and Brooklyn, New York. Tell us about growing up in that area and kind of how it framed you into being the man you are today.
Well, yeah, like you said, I grew up in Brownsville, the Brownsville section of Brooklyn.
Right.
Which is a a tough area.
Sure.
Let's call it just tough. So I grew up in the New York City public housing. I learned a couple things from growing up there.
Yeah.
First and foremost, you had to be tough.
Right.
If you didn't, people were gonna mess with you on a day-to-day basis.
Sure.
The second thing is, I had to learn to deal with adversity. So I lived on the 20th floor, and the elevators were,
Yeah.
We called it sometimey,
Right.
back in the day. So
Right.
so
Sometime
sometimes they
here
worked,
and there.
sometimes they worked, sometimes they didn't. So
Right.
a lot of times I'd have to we'd go grocery shopping, with my mom.
Yep.
Get to the get to the elevator, both of them are broken. We'd have to walk right up 20 flights of steps. I did that, at least once a week for my entire time.
So that's where you get the power in those legs and butt you got there, right there.
I think you know what? I never thought of that, but that's probably where it started. And then, finally, motivated me to get out of there.
Right.
To be honest, it's a tough environment, a lot of poverty, a lot of drugs, a lot of violence, a lot of all those things.
Right.
But the motivation I got from growing up that way and then making it out, but that toughness, there's still a little bit of that. If you peel back the layers, some of that toughness, some of that that's still there. I think that's what you're talking about.
I know, it's exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about those days when it was like midway through the season in New England and you were a little grouchy because we'd all been working hard, and I go, I'm not going to mess with him today. He might put me in a chokehold, and it might be the end of the day for me.
I would say you got a little bit of your toughness on your own.
I'm not bad. I'm not bad.
I'm not,
I'm not on
You're
your
not going to lull
level.
me to sleep right now.
Okay.
You're not going to lull me to sleep.
I'm trying my best. I'm trying to kiss your butt, so this is a good interview. But either way, all right, so you talked about your mom, your parents being Honduran immigrants coming over here and trying to make a better life for you. Your dad served in the Army.
Yeah.
I got a kick out of like an article I read around Super Bowl time about your mom, your mom who's battled cancer and issues like that. You go home and talk football to her and talk about yelling at players.
Oh, she loves that.
And she loves it. So tell me a little bit about why she loves that.
My mom was, she led our house with an iron fist. So she was tough on us, and
right.
She didn't really want us outside unless we were doing something productive.
Right. Didn't want you hanging on the corner.
You're at the library, or you're at practice, or you're doing something productive.
Yeah.
So that was kind of her parenting style, and unbeknownst to me, that kind of ended up becoming my coaching style.
Yeah.
So I'm hard on the players. I'm demanding. The one thing I knew though about from my mom is that she loved me.
Yeah.
There was never a doubt that she could say whatever she wants. She could do her thing. When she got angry.
Right. So that's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Okay. So because I know we're in the age where you're not supposed to spank your kids. Right? I spank my little boy. Okay. He's a Simms and he's stubborn, so he needs it.
Right.
But like, what did she do to you? What was
we got spanked?
You got spanked?
We got spanked.
I think it was worse than that. But okay.
We got spanked, and but even when we got spanked, I knew she loved me.
Right.
And I knew she'd come over and say, "This is why this happened." And, my coaching style is similar to that.
Yeah.
So I yell, I scream, I kind of go off at times.
Right.
But my guys know I love them.
Yeah.
And I try to build those connections and build that trust. And I think that's specifically with today's player, you got to build that trust. You got to build that connection. And if you don't, if they feel like you're just out to get your next job or out to just win games and
treating them like a piece of meat, whatever it may be.
I don't think that's the way to go. That's just been my philosophy.
Right.
And it's worked for me, and I'm not going to change.
No, I know you won't.
I got to stick to my guns on that.
Yeah, well, it's gotten you pretty far here in a short period of time. I mean, you're not even 38 yet, and you're the head coach of the Miami freaking Dolphins. Is that like soaked into you yet? I mean, have you been able to wow, I'm the head coach of the Dolphins, or are you so focused you don't even really?
I've had so much going on. That, I've had a couple moments like that, but then I kind of slap myself in the face and say, there's something to do.
Yeah.
Draft, free agency, messaging to the team, offense, defense, special teams.
Right.
There's always something going on.
Right.
So, if I'm gonna, do a great job at this job, then I have to be focused on right now.
No doubt. All right, so other thing is, I got a little taste of New England working up there. I couldn't hang. I wasn't tough enough. I mean, at the end of the day, I really I could. I just had to go home and be a dad. I couldn't stomach being away from my kids and everything like that. I was fortunate that I made a little money before that to where I could make those decisions. But you started from the lowest levels in New England. Just talk about a little bit what it's like to come up the ranks and really. I always thought the cool thing is they start you at the very bottom, and you get to see every facet of what makes the organization really good. Kind of just talk about your experience and how you came up the ranks.
I think I was very fortunate. My development, and it all kind of happened. I don't want to say if it's by chance. I don't think anything's by chance. I was kind of, I won't say destined, but
no, you're
everything
a worker,
that happened.
Man. You're a worker.
It happened for a reason.
Right.
So I started in personnel.
Right.
Scott Pioli's actually, he hired me.
Okay.
kind of learn the inner workings of the personnel
Sure.
side, which now it's
it's awesome
vital
to have that.
Yeah,
Right,
it's,
right.
kind of have that background.
Yep.
I went from personnel to special teams to offense to defense, and then kind of worked my way up defensively, and it's hard.
Yeah.
Really, that's what it boils down to. It's not easy to work in New England.
Yeah.
It's not easy to play in New England.
Right.
But they get the best out of you. They get the most out of you. I was fortunate to be there for 15 years.
Yeah.
It went by like that, and I learned a lot. And I think the development of I developed a lot working in all those different areas, and you start to go on some head coaching interviews and you hear about what this role entails, and it's you're managing the sub programs,
right.
Whether it's strength and conditioning to IT to equipment to you're managing all these sub programs, and I had a taste of a few of those.
Right, so you feel good in those interviews.
You feel like
right.
you feel like you can lead, and I would say that's another thing in New England that Bill does a good job of developing leaders.
Yeah.
And that's something I'm going to take from there.
Yeah.
I'm going to do my best to develop leaders within our building.
Right.
In all the areas, in their prospective areas.
Yeah,
and
sure.
I think that's important.
Right. So, okay, you talk about Bill, and I do want to ask you questions about it. I mean, Bill's the greatest coach in the history of the NFL. I don't even think it's close. Now that you're gone or whatever, when you just kind of assess Bill and what you learn from him, what is the things, one or two things that just jump out to you that go, that's why Bill is amazing and he's the king of football?
The first one's preparation.
Yeah.
No, everyone says no stone goes unturned, but I was in that building.
Yeah, no, I know.
Stone goes
I feel
unturned.
like we were like scouting guys in Germany sometimes.
Yeah. No stone goes unturned.
Right.
So, from a preparation standpoint, situational football. But I think one of the things he does a great job of, is he makes sure that we have guys. You're doing the best. We're accentuating guys' strengths and trying not to put them in positions where they're doing things that they're not very good at.
Right.
So, and I think that's important.
Yeah. Sure.
Why would we put somebody in a position where
he can't do this, or
this is not his strength,
right?
Or we're putting him something where it's a weakness of his.
Yeah.
And it's not just on the field.
Yeah.
It's really across the board.
Right.
And I think that's important.
Even in coaches, you're
coaching,
your
scouting.
there,
What
right.
are your strengths?
Right.
This guy, he scouts offensive linemen well. This guy scouts defensive backs well.
Yeah.
And I think you need to play to people's strengths. I think that's something that we'll do. We've already started in Miami.
Have you seen him in your 15 years there? Did you see a guy that's, even getting close to the end or tired, or it doesn't seem like it ever gets on him, right?
No, he's going to be coaching for a while.
It's unbelievable.
That's my belief.
Yeah, right. What else did he do?
He's still got energy.
Yeah.
He's still, he's still the smartest guy in the room.
Right.
I don't see him. I don't see him stopping anytime soon.
Yeah. All right. And I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you a little bit about this, because, and again, I don't want to ask you too many Miami Dolphins questions. And what are you going to do in the draft?
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you've been asked a million times that this week already. But Gronk retiring.
Yeah.
Gronk was pretty damn special, and you were around a lot of special players there in New England. Again, like I asked you with Bill, like what will always jump out or first thing into your mind when you think about Gronkowski as a New England Patriot tight end?
The passion for the game.
Yeah.
Energy.
Right.
For me as a player is the way he blocked.
Right.
That's one of those things that, it's not the status or
things
the
all the
fame.
time,
It's
right.
it doesn't get you on the all the Twitter views, as they say, or
Right. The highlights.
The highlights, exactly.
Yeah.
But that's something he did really well, and it helped us win a lot of games.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you can bring that kind of toughness and attitude and strength, power, and just nasty kind of grit to a game, that's what you're looking for in this game.
Yeah.
He played. I would say he blocked almost like it's kind of like the toughness and grit you want out of a defensive player.
Right.
So that's what I loved about him, and we kind of. We kind of talked about that. We talked about that on a lot of levels.
Right.
Now when he was out there, a receiver, and doing his dances.
Yeah, right.
It was fun. So on Sundays.
Yeah.
Basically, during the week it wasn't this fun.
Right.
Trying to get this guy contained.
Right.
So you know.
Yeah, he's pretty special.
He is.
All right, I know you got things to do. One last thing. We have one last order of business because this is what this guy is here. He's no nonsense. I was like getting into the scouting area in New England, and I thought I just watched the guy. I was like, this guy's a first-round pick. I guarantee it. And I go down to his office, and I'm like, I just watched the guy. Definite first rounder. And he's like, oh yeah, sure. And he writes it. I go, I bet you this guy's a first rounder. So we bet $50. It was LaMarcus Joyner for all those out there. And as soon as I said it, I mean, B-Flow here, as they call him, wrote it on the board. Simms, LaMarcus Joyner, $50. I never paid you, okay? So we're going to get this out of the way right now.
First off, let's say this.
Yes.
LaMarcus Joyner.
Yes.
Okay? I think you're an incredible player.
Yeah, we think you're amazing.
I think you're an incredible player.
Thank you.
Okay? So you've had a great career. Congrats on the contract in Oakland, I believe. Oakland, correct?
Well, yes, Oakland. And well said by you.
Yeah.
Because it's not a knock on you.
Not a knock on you.
You were knocking me you're new and you don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, he was new. He didn't know what he was saying. He was throwing it out there, and he was almost right. Okay? So
here you go. I'm going to give you 60 because I only got 20s. But I think the interest is
yes, I think the interest is there, and I will absolutely take
and
this.
And I'm paying you're rich as hell now.
No, here we go. No, okay. Yep.
Unbelievable.
We'll be all right. You'll be okay. You'll be just fine.
Okay,
all right?
thanks.
You got to pay your debts around here.
All right. Good seeing you.
Good to see you too, bud.
You're the man.
All right.
See you.
There it is, your old buddy, old pal.
My old buddy, well, he likes me more now than he did when we were in the building together.
Because you paid him.
I paid him. That certainly
paid him his
eased
money,
the tension.
finally.
Yeah, I paid him now that he's rich and the head coach of the Dolphins, which makes no sense.
And he acted surprised in that interview. He's like, oh, why? But you've told me that he brings it up every time he sees it.
The last 2 times I've seen him, I saw him. Let's see, I didn't really see him this year, but last year leading up to the Super Bowl in Minneapolis when they were playing the Eagles, I ended up seeing him at like some random place, and he's like, you owe me $50 still. And even the year before that, there was an away game when they were playing the Denver Broncos. So, yes, he's always on my case about it. I had to get it done, so thank God that's over with.
You know, you almost won that, though.
I know, I was very close.
Out of Florida State in 2014 draft. I looked it up. He was the 41st overall pick.
That was very close.
9th pick in the 2nd round. So you weren't that far off.
I wasn't that far off. The bet was not more about, like, at the time, Brian Flores had not even seen LaMarcus Joyner. It was more that I was new to the scouting business, and he was like, you don't know what you're talking about yet. Let's just write this up there. So.
Yeah, and he thought it would be entertaining on a podcast maybe in 5 years later to
it came out. That's right.
I like that.
Yeah.
Very cool. We're rooting for Brian Flores because he seems like a good dude. We have so many people to root for. I don't know who to root against.
That's what gets hard when you're in the business because you start to get to know people, and it's hard to keep an open mind about when they make a mistake and criticize and when not to and all that. One thing I'll say.
They know your job, though. They know it's like part of the business.
The cool ones do.
Yeah.
The cool ones do. There's some other ones that are kind of jerky where you're like, come on, man. Like, are you kidding me?
You know what? Like my mom would say, then they're not your true friends.
Well, no.
You know, right? Then they're not your friends.
They're not.
Then I would say to my mom, well, actually they are, and I'm trying to impress them.
Well, it's just, you have to balance what bothers me at times is I could say 100 nice things about a coach, and I never get, hey, thanks for saying that about me or the team or whatever. But to say the one thing that's semi-negative, damn, then you hear from them. And that's the crap that pisses me off at times where I want to be like, come on, man. Like, you know, it's not a perfect world. You're making $5 million a year, and we're talking about a mistake that was glaring in a game or whatever. And, yeah, it wasn't your best moment. Like, deal with it. And that kind of bothers me sometimes.
I criticize everyone except for Bill Belichick. But everyone else I criticize.
Exactly right.
Oh, even him from time to time.
Yes.
So that was cool. We're rooting for Brian Flores over there in Miami.
Yep.
So, we're on to, we got March Madness rolling on in college basketball.
Yeah.
My bracket, I pick a lot of upsets every year, so my bracket's not doing that great.
Yeah, it's chalk this year.
It's very chalky.
Yes.
Especially
I'm excited for this weekend to watch the NCAA because it does seem like, you know what?
It's set up for some good games.
It does set up for some good games. And you know what it shows me is that the seating committee got it right.
I know.
I mean, when it's that chalk, that means they've really ranked it properly.
And there wasn't a whole lot of quabbles with the teams they left out. Like the bubble teams, I feel like people were pretty okay.
Yeah, you're right. They understood
Quibbles or quabbles.
Quabbles, I think. Is it quibbles? I think it's quibbles. I don't know.
Well, whatever one. We just made up a new word here together on the Unbuttoned
We will
podcast.
do that.
But we've been running our own March Madness through the Simms Madness, we've been calling it, where we seeded all the teams in the NFC, all the teams in the AFC. You guys voted on Twitter for the teams that would move on to the second round. And now we're actually... I
haven't even seen these results yet, so I'm actually excited.
We're down to 8 teams. We're down to the Elite 8 in the Simms Madness.
Bam.
And it is chalk. all the 1 through 4 seeds, except we do have an upset at the top of the bracket. The number 1 seed Bears have gone down to the 9 seed 49ers. Elsewhere we have Saints. They beat the Cowboys. We have the Eagles. They move past the Seahawks. We have the Rams. They move past the Packers. But in the NFC, we have Eagles, Rams in the Elite Eight, and we have 49ers as the 9 seed, who have now knocked off the Vikings and the Bears. Moving on, people are high on the 49ers.
I can understand that. The 49ers, last year, people were high on the 49ers going into the season, and I kept telling people, like, pump the brakes. I don't think they're quite there yet to surprise people. And I think they would have been a pain in the butt for teams and maybe in the playoff conversation last year if McKinnon and Garoppolo didn't get hurt and they didn't have the Reuben Foster issue, all those things. But at the same time, this is the year I look and go, watch out for the 49ers. O-line's pretty good. D-line, if the draft goes as we think it's going to go right now, Kyler Murray to the Arizona Cardinals, and they get Nick Bosa along with Dee Ford on the edge, and they already had a pretty good defensive line. They got Quallen Alexander at linebacker, who will be their new Reuben Foster. I would say watch out for the 49ers this year. Listen, I know I sound biased, and I am biased because Kyle Shanahan is my friend.
Yeah.
But damn, without the bias, I'm just telling you, his ability to get people open and be creative in the pass game off of play action and bootlegs, because the run game is always phenomenal with the Shanahan family and Kyle, that I hold him in a very, very high regard for his ability to expose weaknesses and defensive schemes. He's proven it to me really for about 10 years now. And I would say watch out if that team's healthy and they get a few more weapons here and there.
Does it still hinge on, I mean, this is a pretty significant injury, that a ligament issue in the knee for Jimmy Garoppolo. Right. Does it still hinge on him being able to come back and pretty much being what we thought he was going to be last year?
Yeah, I mean, of course, that'll be
for every team, right? I mean, that's the case for every team.
It is, but it is the quarterback position, and it's a guy like Jimmy Garoppolo who, I mean, if we're going to keep it real, hasn't played a lot of football yet, too. Yeah. You know, he was kind of, the thing that I'm encouraged about, that I say he will get back and be really good and hitting on all cylinders to start the season. First of all, like, mobility is not his MO, so he doesn't have to worry about necessarily scrambling around and making plays like Deshaun
Maybe
Watson.
Maybe less of his MO now.
Yeah, definitely less of his MO. And the other thing, if there's a positive about what happened with his ACL, it happened early in the season. So, you know, he had the full season, and I think when he gets into OTAs, he's going to be able to partake in a lot of the drills and really get more familiar with the offense and, of course, hit training camp running.
Over on the AFC side, I think it's interesting because you got some flack for the Browns as a 4 seed. A lot of people are like, you're way too high on the Browns. They're not there yet.
See?
But on Twitter, our viewers and listeners have voted the Browns through. They beat the Jaguars in round 1. That wasn't a tough decision. But then overwhelmingly, 78% picked them to beat the Texans in the second round.
This is what I don't understand about social media. Sometimes they will kill you for something they do, and then as the weeks go on, they agree with you.
Right.
But
the masses have agreed with you. Patriots moved on past the Steelers, 77% of the vote. 71% moved to the Chargers past the Ravens, and then 56% of the vote moved the Chiefs past the Colts. That was interesting because that was a 2-7 matchup. Perhaps some questions there with the offense and Tyreek Hill.
Yes.
The Chiefs, though, did move on, but that vote was pretty close between them and the Colts.
And then we got a little AFC West showdown, and then the Patriots and Browns.
Patriots and Browns. But you're right. But so the Browns, people are now sold. They ridiculed you for the 4 seed. Now they're sold and put them onto the Elite Eight.
Yeah, well, it's the time of the year we're evaluating off of paper, and this is all paper. I mean, other than the New England Patriots, who we know are going to be good and competitive and right there to the end, I mean, everything is just a projection at this point, especially with the Browns because of the new acquired talent. It's a first-year head coach in Freddie Kitchens. I know he got to do it last year, but this is his first full year, all of those things. We'll see how it plays out, but it's certainly looking like it's going in the right direction.
I think the Chargers are sneaky, too.
I hear you.
I think a lot of people have respect for what they did last year, obviously.
One team I'll say in the AFC just to watch out for is who the Browns beat up in the first round. And the Jaguars. I would say watch out for the Jaguars this year.
Why?
You know, last year they were ravaged by injuries, and then they had to depend on Blake Bortles to throw the football, and that's never a good thing. And they have Nick Foles this year. If their offensive line stays healthy with Leonard Fournette, that defense is still special to where I would say that would be one team I'd go, ooh, I'd be careful there because they could be a playoff team and make a lot of waves.
Interesting. Okay. All right. Yeah, I can see that. They've got pieces. They've got pieces that you believe in.
I like, yes.
You think Nick Foles, a full year's the quarterback, steadies the ship on offense?
I do. It's an offense that he already knows with John DeFilippo. I talked to Doug Marrone while we were out at the owners' meetings, and the one thing he was excited about was that the team was going to actually have to catch up to Nick Foles with the offense because he's going to know the offense better than everybody else on the team when they first get there. So that's always a positive thing. That's one of the underlying beauties of the New England Patriots. The fact that Tom Brady's been in the same, 18 or 19 years? How many freaking years has Brady played?
38 years.
So it's something like that. But either way, one of the beauties that goes on there is there's pressure on the rest of the offense all the time, Ahmed, to keep up with Brady because his Rolodex of plays is so deep, and they can go, oh, remember this play in 2004 when you ran it? And, oh, yeah, we're putting it in this week. Right. And now the receivers and the offensive line are.
You're not limited. You're not held back.
No, and they got to keep up with Tom because if they don't, Tom's going to be like, all right, get this guy out of here. Let's get the next guy in.
Right. Yeah, it makes you
There's some
focus
value
that
to
much
that.
more.
Yes.
What can't Nick Foles do? I mean, like, really? Could he play baseball? Maybe. I don't know. We did talk at the top of the show about baseball and how I'm super excited that it's opening day across Major League Baseball. Everyone is tied except for the Oakland A's who lost those 2 games in Japan, so they're already 0-2 on the season. But I'm a big-time baseball fan. And you are, too. You're a big baseball fan.
Yankees are my number one team in all of sports. There's
like
no
number
team
one meaning like you root harder for them than any team.
Anybody else. There's nobody I'm more loyal to than the New York Yankees. Yeah, football, what gets messed up is, like I told you before, I have relationships and friends. And as much as I love the New York Giants, if they played the San Francisco 49ers and Kyle Shanahan, sorry, Giants, I'm rooting for my buddy who, I'm rooting for him personally. So those are the times where it gets tricky when you're too involved in the business. I certainly, do love the Giants, and they have a special place in my heart. But the Yankees, it's just, it's pride and joy. When I was just in high school, they were winning championships. I wore number 2 partly because of Derek Jeter. Yeah. And that was one of the big reasons I did it, because I am a huge Derek Jeter fan.
Have you ever gotten the chance to meet?
I have.
You have?
So, wait, 2 instances I got to tell you about Derek Jeter.
Could you talk, or were you too nervous?
So the first time I was too nervous. I didn't want to bother him. I was at a club in New York City, okay? And it was like, 2 in the morning. New York City, the clubs stay open to 4 a.m.
Yep.
And this is in maybe my first 2 or 3 years in the NFL, really probably my first year or 2. And late night, Derek Jeter walks into the club, and I'm a Yankee fan, and they're playing the Mets in the Subway Series. And I'm going, damn, I'm pretty sure they got a 1 o'clock start tomorrow. What's he doing here? How dare he do this? So
that's why they say never meet your heroes, right?
He didn't drink. He didn't do anything there. I watched him from a distance a little bit. He did nothing like that.
It was kind of creepy.
Kind of creepy. Stalking him from a distance. Stage 9 clinger. Watch out. But I saw him. So this is really what's funny. As I woke up the next day, and I was like, man, Jeter was out late last night. I got to turn this game on. And I was out late. So I turned the game on, and it was like already started.
Yeah.
And I was like, I got to see how Jeter's doing. And he was like 3 for 4, or like in the 7th inning. I think he ended up going like 4 for 5 in the day. And I was like, man, he's the man. But didn't get a chance to meet him until really just 2 or 3 years ago. I was in New York City having a drink with my wife at the Mandarin Orient Hotel in Columbus Circle. We were going to go out to dinner, and I said, hey, let's go get a drink here or whatever. And I saw a guy who was sitting in front of me about 10 yards away from me, and his back was to me. But I was like, man, I know the shape of that head right there. I was like, I told my wife, I was like, I think that's Derek Jeter. And she's like, really? And I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then I looked, and his soon-to-be wife was there too, which was a great honor to meet her as well, because she's a very beautiful woman and was on those, DirecTV commercials, I believe?
Correct.
So I got up, and I was like, this is my chance. I'm going to go meet him. And I went over and met him, said hello to him.
Hold on, you're walking over there. Are you getting a little, palms sweating a little bit, or are you just like, what's about to happen?
A little bit. No, I was. I was a little bit, because I was going to tell him not only, how much I loved him as a player, but I wore number 2 because of him and respected him. And I was total fanboy.
Are you going over there assuming he knows who you are?
No, not at all. I never assume that. I never do. And he knew, he did know who I was. and was just absolutely great to me and whatever else. Ended up buying my wife and I a drink. Actually, I declined because I already had a drink in front of me, but my wife was like, sure, I'll take one from Derek Jeter. So Derek Jeter's bought my wife a drink. But either way, it was a big thrill.
Oh, that's
DJNY.
And he was nice. And
couldn't be nicer.
Okay.
And I don't know anybody that's never ever said anything different about
And the
Derek
next
Jeter.
day sent you a gift basket, right?
You're very funny. You're very funny.
I don't know if that's true or not, but that's cool. All right, so Derek Jeter, cool guy. And he is in Miami right now, and they've had a rough go of it over there. But they're trying to rebuild and get a little bit better. They're part of a pretty interesting division. So we got a few quick hitters here.
Okay.
And we posed a couple questions on Twitter, and one of them got me really thinking, and I think it's a really good one. Which city has the best chance for a double-double? And by double-double,
right,
I mean World Series championship and Super Bowl championship. So we're gonna go quick hitters, and we're gonna pump in music for it. And Chris is now dancing, and so now we're slowing everything down, but I might dance as well.
Okay.
Interesting choices. We did not put Philadelphia as one of the 4 choices because Twitter you can only do 4 choices.
Right.
Made a lot of people in Philadelphia very angry.
I bet.
But Houston was a choice. Chicago was a choice. LA was a choice, and I think for me, we said not Boston. We didn't include Boston because I feel like that's too easy.
It might be a guarantee.
That's too easy. But for me, it's LA. Because I feel like the Dodgers have a very good chance. They've been there the last couple years in a row.
Yep.
And I feel like between the Rams and the Chargers, I would not be surprised if either one of those teams won it. So I think for me, I think LA has the best chance of pulling the double-double.
LA is definitely in the running. What were the 4 teams we put up on Twitter?
LA, Houston, Chicago, and what was the last one?
Right.
Cleveland. Cleveland. With the Indians and Browns.
All 3 of those certainly make sense to me there, yes. And there was one other one that I had. I wouldn't throw out like the Atlanta Braves totally yet in this situation.
No.
They did win the NL East last year, and I do think the Falcons are going to rebound. I mean, so they're on just the outside looking in. But if I had a pick out of those 4 right there.
I mean, Houston, the Astros are going to be very good.
And I do think that the Houston Texans are going to be very good, too. I mean, they did win the AFC South last year. Gosh, Chicago, Houston, LA, and who's the other one?
LA, Chicago.
I said that.
Cleveland. Yeah. And Philly. We could include Philly because the Philly fans on Twitter are very mad at you. And so if you want to throw them into the mix as well, you can do that.
It's very close, but I don't think I can put Philly in that category yet.
Because they won't have a quarterback last 5 weeks of the season.
Oh, what a jerk. How dare you say that?
What are they going to do?
Going to jinx the guy already?
What are they going to do?
All right, and you're taking LA?
I'm taking LA.
Okay. I think if I'm going to take one there.
Chicago's not a bad one.
Chicago is not a bad one. I worry about no Vic Fangio in Chicago. That kind of scares me a little bit.
Okay.
I'm going to go Houston. Sorry.
You're doing Houston.
Speed.
Okay.
Houston. Sorry.
We'll
speed
write
round.
that down.
I forgot it was a speed round.
We'll bet a sandwich on that.
Yeah.
More likely MVP. Bryce Harper, who's now in Philadelphia. Carson Wentz in Philadelphia.
Ooh, that is another good one. I'm going to go with Carson Wentz.
Wow.
Yeah, that's right. I am. Carson Wentz, let's not forget, 2 years ago was going to be the MVP of the NFL and tore his ACL in Week 14. He was the lead dog in the house.
He was.
I'm still riding with him, and I think he's going to get all those leadership issues that are talked about fixed.
Well, Bryce Harper was the MVP in the National League in 2015. I think he can do it again. I would take Harper, and then I think he's going to have a monster year in Philadelphia. He's going to get well in that part. More of which one? Khalil Mack sacks. He had 12.5 last year. Or Chicago Cubs pitcher John Lester wins. He had 18 last year, which led the National League.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Lester here again.
You're gonna go Lester over Mack.
I am gonna go Lester over Mack. I mean, Lester's got good stuff. Mack's a beast. He's always gonna have so much attention on him. But I don't know. I think Lester, the Cubs, I think he's gonna be around the 17-18 range once again. It's gonna be close.
The Cubs are gonna be good, and so that a lot of times, wins aren't necessarily indicative of the quality of the pitcher. It's if you got a good offense.
It's the speed round.
Games.
Okay. Hurry up. Jeez.
He's had a bad spring though, John Lester. I don't know that Khalil Mack can replicate 12.5 sacks, but I don't think Lester's going to replicate the 18 wins. I'm going Khalil Mack sacks.
It's a very tight one there because, remember, Khalil Mack got hurt and had to deal with an ankle injury last year. He might have had more. Speed round, let's go.
I know Pete is pushing us along. Okay, more iconic Boston sports figure. Rob Gronkowski or David Ortiz.
Ooh. They're both amazing. I'm going to go with Gronk.
You are.
I am.
Okay,
I think Gronk just fits the city of Boston a little bit with his. First of all, I think the Patriots are the kings of Boston now. I really do. And I think Gronkowski, with his wild personality and how he's acted with the parades and everything like that, yeah, I'm going to go Gronk. Another close one, though.
I think it's, we'll have to pull someone from Boston for this, obviously, but I think if I was to guess for them, I would say David Ortiz.
You would go with
I
Big
think
Papi?
he meant a lot. He meant,
did.
he was there for some pretty significant times,
Right.
tragedy.
He
of
broke
course.
the curse.
Broke the
He
curse.
was part of that.
I think
How dare
the
they
Red
did that.
Sox are so iconic there, so I would go David Ortiz, but we gotta clear that with someone from Boston officially to just make sure one of us is not right. Worst season: Miami Marlins, who lost 98 games last year, or the Miami Dolphins, who are quote unquote tanking.
They're not tanking.
Okay, well,
but
they're not gonna be good.
I don't even know a player on the Marlins team right now, okay? I don't even know one.
Derek Jeter.
Yeah, exactly. That's exactly it.
he'll play
No,
30
and I think
games.
Brian Flores and company, he's going to have a tough football team that will be detailed. I think they're going to win a few more games than people are giving them credit for.
I'm going to say the Dolphins will have a worse year. Just because in baseball, it's a little different in baseball. Even the worst teams win a third of their games. So
Yeah.
I think the Dolphins, if they go 5-11.
What are we going off, a win percentage there or something like that?
Yeah, I'm going off win percentage.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I think the Dolphins will have a worse win
Okay.
percentage. Okay, so that's good stuff.
That was it?
No, I want to do one more thing here because I was
Hurry
thinking
up.
about this. No, I know.
It's the speed round.
Music is
Hurry.
freaking me out. It's making me very nervous. So, we got the ultimate crossover athlete in Kyler Murray in the draft this year, right?
Right.
Because he's a guy that went number 9 overall in the MLB draft to the Oakland A's. They're very upset that he's now going to go to football, but it's a good choice because he's going to be the number 1 pick overall.
Seems
most
like it.
likely. What other players in baseball could maybe do the crossover, and what position would they play? And we'll start here with quarterback because I think there are a couple flamethrowers in baseball right now. They're both in the NL East, and one is Noah Syndergaard, who stands at 6'6", 240.
Yes.
And one is Max Scherzer, who stands at 6'3", 215. Could either one of them, and which one would you pick to be your quarterback of an NFL team?
Oh, they both fit it. I would go with Scherzer, though. I think Scherzer, to me, is like the Aaron Rodgers of baseball.
It's funny, he's very similar in height and weight, too. He's like an inch taller than Aaron and 10 pounds lighter.
And just can sling it from any angle he wants. I mean, that's why I got to go with Scherzer there.
I would go with Noah.
Yeah.
Because he's like a Big Ben. He's very similar in stature to Big Ben, but they're both 240. Noah's an inch taller.
He is a big dude.
I think he would tower over everyone.
Thor, as they call him
and
in
you
New
want,
York.
Absolutely. You want a
Right.
football player named Thor. Position for corner, I picked a Boston Red Sox, Mookie Betts.
Okay.
5'9", 180.
Right.
I feel like is that too short to play corner?
That's okay. He's like a nickel corner.
He's
he
like
could
a
be
nickel.
He could be a nickel.
Yeah.
Right. And was I supposed to come up with my own nickel corner?
No, you don't have to.
Okay. No,
just
I
threw out a
didn't.
couple.
I wasn't prepared for that. No one told me that.
So this is another one too. Mike Trout. You've seen Mike Trout, right?
Running back, I think.
Oh, you would put him at running back.
Without a doubt. I've seen him in person.
I think he's too big for running back. He's 6'2", 235. Is that too big or no?
Yeah, he's just a power back.
Okay.
I don't think he's 6'2". Standing next to him before, I would
That's
throw the
generous.
challenge flag on that. But man, when we talk about running backs and legs and ass,
Yeah.
Mike Trout's got it for sure.
I'd put him at linebacker, not knowing the technique that he has.
He
with
could
tackling.
no, but he could do that. He has the body frame to do that.
He
certainly.
has the neck of a football player.
He does.
There's
He has
no
the
one else-
body of a football player.
There's no one else in baseball that has a better body for football or a neck for football than Mike Trout. Do you agree with that?
I'm up there with you totally on that one.
I want to throw 2 more in here too.
Yeah.
Edge rusher.
Yeah.
Aaron Judge.
He's the only defensive end in football. I mean, in baseball.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. I think if Aaron Judge decided at age 12, he's like, Mom, I'm going to play defensive end in the NFL. I think he'd be here right now. But I'm glad he's not. I'm glad he's hitting homers for my Yanks.
6'7", 282.
Damn. It doesn't even look right at the plate sometimes. It's
doesn't.
It's crazy.
He's amazing. He's a trendy pick for AL MVP.
All rise.
All right.
The judge.
Are you going to be part of the what do they call the judge?
The
judge crew? No.
Judge and jury.
Judge and jury?
I think that's what they call it.
No,
I'm not wearing any wigs in the
stands. There's a more
stands, no.
clever name.
Right.
The court, something like that. Okay. Finally, offensive tackle. I've got one. Or maybe he's a nose tackle.
What?
Old school nose tackle.
Who is an offensive tackle or a nose tackle in baseball?
45 years old, Bartolo Colon. 5'11", 285.
Oh, my God. He is 285 at 5'11"?
He might be more. Yeah, 285 at 5'11". That's a nose tackle, right? Or is he still too small for that?
Well, that's a little short. He better have extreme quickness to be 5'11", 285.
I don't believe he has extreme quickness.
He's in trouble there. Yeah, I don't know if he could pull off. He's a phenomenal athlete, but being a defensive tackle in the NFL, whoa, those guys are like freaky strong and explosive.
Okay, so more offensive tackle?
I almost want to say he's like my short yardage fullback. Like we're just going to give him the ball and plow through the middle.
A bad call. Like number 63, who you just is eligible, and then you put him in.
Refrigerator Cologne goes through the middle.
Okay, that was good. That was our speed round, so we can.
That was the slowest speed round in the history. When the producer has to get in our ear and remind us it's a speed round, we went slow.
I thought I was talking fast, though, right?
Nah.
No, the music
pretty
is
average.
I feel like I can breathe again without the music.
It kind of get freaky there. It was like it started to get like Halloween music on me there. Like Jason Myers was coming around.
Is there anything else you want to get out?
No, I think we got it all.
You think the Yankees win the World Series this year?
I think we got a. Yeah.
They're a really trendy pick. I don't know why. I mean, the Red Sox were so good last year.
That's scary.
And the bullpen's maybe an issue for them, but
we got to end this Boston dominance. I have so much respect, and the Boston fans are amazing, and I lived up there, but I'm sick of it. So I want some New York bragging rights once again. Oh, and ooh. Wait, so you're more Giants fan than Tigers fan? How do you split that up?
So I still root for the Tiger. I'm still a Tigers fan.
Okay.
But I mean, I've been covering this
them.
team. I've been covering this Giants team for the last 6 years.
Right.
So and like you say, you get to know the people there around the team, and so I do root for them. You can have an American League team and a National League team.
Yeah. Okay.
So
fine.
The Giants are my National League team, and so it's opening day for them. They got the Padres. Giants might not be very good this year. I do.
Really? You think so? They'll probably surprise you.
They might be around 500 if they get some lucky. But yeah, I'm a Tiger fan as well. And so yeah, happy it's baseball season. That's
All
it.
right. You're the man.
That's it.
Always
we did
fun.
We did it. Josh was
great.
It.
Hey,
Josh Norris.
Get at us, okay? Anything you want us to talk about on the podcast. If there's specific football questions, like I said, hit us up on Twitter at CSimsQB, at Instagram. We've talked, it's at Simms Unbuttoned, YouTube.com/NBC Sports, or anywhere that iPods.
Yeah,
podcast.
Go buy an iPod and download the podcast.
Podcasts are available.
Yeah.
You can get this damn thing, okay? So have a good weekend. You too, Johnny White Shoes,
do it.
okay?
Let's do it. I like the shoes.
For Ahmed Fareed and Chris Simms, peace out, homies.
I'm gonna wear these again.
I think I got your name right every time today.
It's been.
Was it close?
It's been remarkable.
You sure?
You've come a long way.
Okay. Yo, what's up? Come on, man. Subscribe on YouTube to Chris Simms Unbuttoned Podcast. I need you. Please hit the subscribe button, please.